I'm Miro Kaz.
I'm the real Tom Rose.
And you're watching the MBA show bonus content.
Bonus content?
Yeah. So we talked on the show today, many of you are here potentially because you are freaking out over the fact that recruiting season has begun early.
That's
for
what
people who are...
recruiting season is, Miro, freaking out.
For not even MBAs. So companies are starting in the summer. And so there's sort of two questions here. One is, should you freak out? And the other is, what should you do?
Yeah.
Let's start with the calming. I'm a little hyperventilating. I'm an MBA. I got a month before I start. I'm not recruiting yet. I didn't attend the first info session.
And I just found out that some of my friends did attend that.
You know, am I doomed?
The answer is no.
Oh,
everything will be fine.
Okay.
So the way that I look at this is recruiting kind of happens in two stages.
And this is recruiting we're talking about for big companies here.
This is
banks,
big company
consulting
recruiting.
firm, very traditional MBA
So
recruiters.
small companies or niche companies, completely different process. For banks, consulting firms, that's what we're talking about. Two main phases to the recruiting process. The first phase is everything that occurs before the first interview offer.
Yeah.
The second phase is everything that occurs after the interview offer, including the interview itself.
Yep.
And so the events, everything that happens before the interview, all that stuff does is get you to the interview. It does not accrue to you beyond that interview.
Once you're in that interview process, these firms really tend to focus on the interview process. Now, if you're a flagrant jerk, I mean, we're talking massive, like we're talking catastrophic, throwing drinks in face kind of asshole. You're not getting the interview anyways.
Right.
Like, they will note that.
Yes, and then there's another type of people that are definitely getting the interview. So for example, say you came out of banking and you're doing a career switch maybe into another bank. So you're a prized potential candidate. You're going to get an interview. You really don't need to be going to all of these pre-MBA interviews.
And that's the other thing. On these interview lists, there are people who are very likely to get the interview. They have great scores, fabulous grades, the right background, they're highly prized, they're going to get the interview. There are people who are, frankly, definitely not going to get the interview. And a lot of these sessions are for people on the bubble to be able to move themselves either way. A little hard for you to know which parts you're in,
right?
But just know that it's not as much there, and that once the interview starts,
it's like a blank slate. The interview starts like everybody comes from the same level, which is great in a way, right? It's very merit-based. Typically,
they have their tests, they have their processes.
So that's
you should
really
be
good.
preparing for those interviews if you get them. But what should you be doing right now?
Yeah.
So don't freak out. What should you do now?
So you should be thinking about what you want to do.
What?
You want to go into banking.
You do not. Well, whatever, fine.
This is what you do. You just take an Excel spreadsheet, you put all the salaries for potential jobs, you hit sort. You Google for whatever's at the top, or you could just Google for banking, and then whatever firms come up, you make sure that you go to the info sessions for those firms.
Yep.
Well, everybody has their own method, but come up with your method and figure out what you want to do. So the limiting factor at getting a job is figuring out what you want to do, because you need to be mounting a directed, focused recruiting effort. What you cannot be doing is scattershot recruiting.
And that's why this is a really unfortunate thing, because it forces people to do that. But really practically in the meantime, what you can do is the firms that you're interested in, go to their websites. Most of them have a place to sign up for pre-MBAs. That's how they're holding these recruiting events, and you can get invited to them. Don't worry about it either way.
Yeah.
And I guess we leave with an idea, but be wary the danger of investing a lot of time in this thing, especially now. If you invest this time in and you decide later on you want to do banking, there will still be time to do that. It's more important to spend the time figuring out what you want to do. I'm going to say that. Even Tom the banker is going to say that. Your career center is going to say it, and you're all going to ignore it.
Yeah. So if you're playing for a banking interview, you're not really late on the recruiting process until after the actual moratorium ends and recruiting starts in earnest. Then, if you haven't jumped on, then it starts to be a little late.
Well, good luck, MBAs. As always, I'm Miro Kaz.
I'm the real Tom Rose.
You've been watching MBA Show bonus content.
Woo!